All right, let's talk about one of history's greatest, most confusing thinkers, Socrates. He was known as the wisest man of his time, but his entire fame, his whole philosophy really, was built on one wild idea, that he knew absolutely nothing. So how on earth does that work? How can knowing nothing make you the wisest person around? Well, let's get into it.
So yeah, this is the big puzzle we're going to solve today. It feels totally backward, right? I mean, how can ignorance possibly be the secret to wisdom? But the answer to this question didn't just shape all of Western philosophy, it actually holds a really powerful lesson for how you and I can live a better, more meaningful life right now.
And here it is. This is our first huge clue. You've probably heard this quote before, but it is the bedrock of everything Socrates believed. For him, this whole process of constantly questioning everything, especially yourself, well, it wasn't just some intellectual hobby. It was the most essential thing you could do as a human being. It's step one to finding any kind of real wisdom.
Okay, so to really get Socrates, you have to picture the world he was living in. Ancient Athens was full of smart people who were totally obsessed with facts about the world. Biology, astronomy, that kind of stuff. They figured that the more facts you could collect, the smarter you were. But Socrates looked around and saw a giant fundamental problem with that way of thinking.
He basically argued that, sure, it's interesting to know what a star is made of, but it's way, way more important to know what makes a good life. He saw people cramming their heads full of information, but they never stopped to ask the really big questions like, what does it mean to be just or courageous? How should I actually live my life? They all just assumed they knew the answers, and they were wrong.
And this is the crucial line Socrates drew in the sand. On one side, you've got what he called shakeable knowledge. This is basically everything we think we know, our opinions, beliefs we inherited from our parents, things we just picked up along the way without ever really questioning them. And on the other side, that's unshakable knowledge. This is the real deal, true understanding that you've tested and can defend against any argument. What Socrates realized was that almost everyone was living their entire lives in that first category, mistaking their shaky opinions for solid truth.
So, if you're stuck in this world of shaky opinions, how do you cross over to the solid ground of real knowledge? Well, Socrates didn't just point out the problem. He actually created a tool to solve it. It's this brilliant method for thinking and discovering truth that we now call dialectics.
At its heart, dialectics is really just a structured, logical conversation. It's a way to put ideas to the test through a kind of friendly fire, through rigorous debate. By challenging your own assumptions and letting others challenge them too, you start to see the weak spots in your arguments. It's the process that takes you from just knowing what you believe to deeply understanding why you believe it.
And the process itself is a pretty simple three-step loop. First, you start with a thesis. That's just a starting belief you have, like, justice is always telling the truth. Then you introduce an antithesis, a challenge that pokes a hole in that idea. Like, okay, but what if a killer asks you where your friend is hiding? That forces you to create a synthesis, a new, smarter belief. Like, okay, maybe justice is about protecting the innocent, not just telling the truth. And then that new idea becomes your new thesis, and you start the whole process all over again, getting closer and closer to the truth each time.
Now, this is what's so cool about the whole thing. For Socrates, dialectics wasn't about winning an argument or proving someone else wrong. He genuinely believed that the answers to life's most important questions about goodness and justice and beauty are already inside every single one of us. They're just locked away. Dialectics is the key. It's the tool you use to have a conversation with your own soul and unlock that knowledge.
Okay, so this powerful way of thinking leads us straight to Socrates' ultimate goal, living what he called the good life. But wait, how does just challenging your own beliefs actually make you a better person?
And here's the second massive Socratic idea that ties it all together. Just 3 little words. Knowledge is virtue. This simple statement is one of the most powerful and, honestly, one of the most challenging ideas in all of philosophy. What could he possibly have meant by that?
What Socrates is saying here is radical. He's saying that no one ever does the wrong thing on purpose. If you truly deeply, with that unshakable knowledge, understand what the right thing to do is, you'll just do it automatically. For Socrates, all bad actions come from one place, ignorance. They come from mistaking those shaky opinions for real knowledge. So this whole quest for knowledge isn't just for fun or for academics. It is the only path to becoming a good, virtuous person.
And boom, there it is. That solves our whole puzzle. The unexamined life he warned us about is a life built entirely on that shaky foundation of untested opinions.
If you never question them, you can never get to the true knowledge you need to be virtuous. So, admitting I know nothing isn't a sign of weakness. It's the essential first step. It's about clearing out all the clutter, all the stuff you think you know, to finally make space for what's real.
So why are we sitting here talking about some guy from 2,400 years ago? Because you could argue these ideas have never been more important than they are right now. His legacy isn't just some dusty thing in a history book, it's a practical toolkit for navigating the modern world.
Think about it. The Socratic method pushes us to question traditions that stick around just because, that's how we've always done things. And in our age of constant information and misinformation, his method of dialectics is an incredible tool for critical thinking, for helping us separate the signal from all the noise. And of course, you really can't overstate it, his work is the foundation for pretty much all of Western philosophy. He taught Plato, who taught Aristotle, and the rest is literally history.
So, let's end by turning the Socratic method back on ourselves. Wisdom always begins with a question, so I'll leave you with this one. What is one core belief you hold about your life, your career, your relationships, anything that you've never really truly examined? Because taking a hard look at it might just be the first step on your own path to the good life. Thanks for digging into this with me.